Bleach Thousand Year Blood War episode number 15, entitled Peace from Shadows, was a very well paced, directed, and storyboarded episode that highlighted some of the best elements of the Thousand Year Blood War animation crew. The designs and backgrounds were stellar, and Kubo's unique storytelling continues to impress as he adds on extra information about the lore of Bleach. In this video, I'll be breaking down all the bits of info we have along with some Kubological analysis on a few extremely intriguing plot points. At the end of this video, you will find somewhat of a rant, because some people are kind of making Bleach fans look bad and they do need to be called out. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Part 1 of the episode is the Stern Order meeting. Now in this meeting, Jugrim is essentially giving them the battle plans for the fight that they're about to have. And the entire conversation essentially revolves around this concept where the other Stern Order, for example Robert Arcatron, he doesn't really understand why all the Stern Order have to go in for the second invasion, because he believes that once the Soul Reapers have lost their Bankai, Soul Dawn should be able to annihilate them. And Jugrim in this moment tells them that the Soul Reapers still have something left to take. They still have hope, because they either believe that they will find a way to win without their Bankai, or by some measure of luck, find a way to get their Bankai back. And the fact that that hope still exists and the fact that it still remains means that the Stern Orders haven't completed their mission, which is to rob them of all hope. And so Hasfault in that moment sends a very clear message from His Majesty. There's one thing they need to do in this battle: annihilate the enemy instantly. Now, in this entire scene, Taguchi storyboards it to perfection. I don't know if it's necessarily Taguchi. I feel like it's Taguchi. I'd like to think that when he storyboards, I know, and I think it's him. If it's not, whoever it is doing a really, really great job, because the close-ups of their faces, the shots of them sitting around the table, the title card, that sequence, when it's right up in front and then it peels back to reveal the name Peace from Shadows on the table, all of that is great. There's a little bit of foreshadowing in this scene, specifically with Bambietta, where whenever Bambietta was the one who finally had to speak, they inverted the camera, showing that Bambietta is going to be matched up with Shinji Hirako down the line. This entire scene, I thought it was well done. The script was really solid. The framing was excellent, and the art direction. I don't know who was the art director for this episode, but you'll hear me praise him the entire way through. They did such an amazing job with the faces. The faces especially looked really, really strong. So that title sequence before entering into the opening and then the rest of the episode was great stuff. Absolutely stunning. The second part of the episode essentially shows us seeing the Shikanmaku and the Serete from the outside. You can see that the weird cloak, like if this was Jujutsu Kaisen, it'd be called the veil or the cloak. I don't know what Jujutsu Kaisen calls it, but anyway. So the Quincy's have overtaken the Serete, and the Squad 13 co-lieutenants, I've forgotten their names, but those two, they're inconsequential, but those two people are outside the Serete, and they see what's happening, so they go in to try to tell, I almost said Jugrim, they go and try to tell Jushiro Ukitake, who is outside in the Rukon district, and he's in a place called Sakahone. Now, inside, you can see him with his shirt off, seated in front of a shrine, looking very, very ominous for what we know is coming. It makes all the more sense. I do believe this was in the manga, though, but it's a very cool scene foreshadowing what's about to happen. Jushiro was not within the Serete while this was happening. He was outside of it in front of this said shrine. That's part 2 of the episode. Moving on to part 3, Shunsui is standing in front, like he's standing in his captain's barracks, but he can look out and see the entire landscape of the Serete that's now been transformed into the Quincy's Von Lenrock Empire. And he's looking out and he's really sad, but only in the way that charismatic Shunsui Kyotoku can do so. He's bummed out and he's bothered and he's nervous, but of course he'll never show it. But essentially, he's really bothered that they've lost their home field advantage, because he believed that the Stern Orders were going to come back, well, the Quincy as a whole were going to come back to attack. And so what he did was he placed a lot of traps around the city. But now that they've used their dimension warping ability to just take away their home field advantage, there's not really much that Shunsui can do in this moment. And so he's a little bummed out. Now, while he's standing there, he's approached by Jugrim Hasfault, who has come directly to do battle with Shunsui Kyotoku. And that right there is part 3 of the episode. Let's go to part 4. Part 4 is Yuha explaining what happened to the Quincy's 1,000 years ago. Now, if you remember, at the end of the last episode, Yuha, he was there and all, but he was standing on top of Uryu and Jugrim were just standing on top of one of the buildings, looking all badass with the lightning and whatever. He's now relocated to, I think he's still at the top of the palace or whatever, but he's now seated on his throne overlooking the entire landscape of the Wanderreich. Seeing, I guess he's able to tell the battles as they're happening or whatever, but Uri is with him, and he explains to Uri that 1,000 years ago, when the Quincy's lost, they lost their home. And so what they did was they left the world of the living and created an empire of their own within the shadows of the Serite, utilizing the reishi that exists within the Soul Society, and created a home within the shadows, and they called it the Invisible Empire, which is what the word Wanderreich means in German. And so that's where the Quincies have been this entire time, building their strength, regaining their power, getting stronger. In part 5 of this episode, Askin Naklavar encounters the Department of Research and Development, and of course they're very worried, scared, surprised that a Sternator has appeared right in front of them, and he tries to explain to them that, hey, I was here the entire time. This entire sequence with Askin, particularly, if you look at some of the shots with the crystals and the backgrounds, it just looks so tangible. There's something about Yoshio Tanioka's background and Kazuhiro Yamada's effects that happen here. Every shot having to do with the background looks so perfectly constructed. The amount of detail that they have for the Bleach anime, it's honestly very stunning, and I'm so grateful that we have such passionate workers on Bleach. But as Askin is speaking with the Department of Research and Development, Mayuri returns from his lab. Now he emerges from his lab in a new getup. He has a new outfit. Now this outfit is I don't even know how I want to describe it. It's this he's glowing. He's wearing something that's just glowing really bad, and as he's walking forward, it's glowing so much it's not creating any shadows. And he said that all throughout the entire of the first invasion, he's noticed that a very important aspect of the Quincy's abilities has to do with shadows. And so he researched into this concept of shadows. And he decided that in order to make sure that the Quincy's couldn't use shadows to basically checkmate him, he succeeded in creating a getup that has no shadows or casts no shadows and completely remodeled and reconstructed his laboratory to have no shadows. Now, like that is nuts. I'm like, how do you even, that sounds like it'd be hard to do. But whatever. He succeeded in creating a room with literally 0 shadows. So after all that set up, we head into part 6. Now part 6 is where the battles essentially start. So Baz B, he's out there on the front lines as the soldiers are clashing with the random Shinigami henchmen dudes, like, no name scums, the scrubs. The soldiers are fighting with the scrubs of the Shinigami, and Baz B encounters Toshiro Hitsugaya and Rangiku Matsumoto. Now, Baz B is Sternator H for the heat. He's a really cool dude. He is fire, and Toshiro Hitsugaya is ice. So it's a very cool matchup, and they end up clashing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the fight here. Just to point it out there, some people think the animation wasn't really good for this scene. I thought the animation for these scenes were fine, but clearly with the direction of what they were trying to do, it was the art. They really wanted to focus on the art, and the art and effect in Toshiro versus Baz B is some of the best you will see. The effects of the fire, the effects of the ice, the effects of the reishi, the effects of the backgrounds, and their faces. Like, almost every shot is wallpaper material. Like, I have not seen this one particular shot of Toshiro. I promise you, I have not seen Toshiro look this good, ever. And I applaud the team, the art direction or the art team on this specific episode, because some of these dudes were looking hot and sexy as hell. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. Baz B looked cool, Toshiro looked cool, Rangiku looked amazing as she always does. This is great. Clearly, the direction for here was that, hey, we're gonna give you animation, whatever, but they really wanted to focus on effects and the art. And you know what? That's fine. There's enough episodes in the entirety of the Bleach catalog or Bleach 1000 Year Blood War catalog that I'm sure you can do it differently. Sure. For this episode, whoever was on it, the direction was very clear. Art and effects, not necessarily animation, which is fine. If you don't like it, fair play to you. But on that note, let's talk about vacuum ice, because what is vacuum ice? Vacuum ice is essentially this combination attack between Toshiro Hitsugaya and Rangiku Matsumoto, where Rangiku will use her Hinako ability, which is essentially ash and whatever. She'll cast it over an area, and then Toshiro will coat over her ashes with his ice. And then what she'll do is she'll return her Hinako back to sword form. But once it returns to sword form, it leaves a vacuum within the ice, which essentially forms a barrier which doesn't allow the flames to penetrate through. At least that's what it was supposed to do. And so for the beginning stages of this, it actually works to perfection. Baz B's flames are not able to pierce Toshiro and Rangiku's vacuum ice, and he ends up cutting Baz B with a vacuum blade of ice. And Baz B is, quote, down for the count for the moment. So that right there is a little explanation on what Vacuum Ice the ability is. Now in part 7 of the episode, we find Omaida. Now Omaida is with his little sister. I've forgotten her name, doesn't matter. But Omaida's with his little sister and he has to go fight because the enemies have arrived. And obviously she's scared. So he talks to her, tries to let her know that, hey, he's here to go and protect the neighbors and the aunties and the uncles and mom and dad and all these people because I'm a member of the Gotei 13. Do I care about this? No, I do not. And luckily for us, BG9 comes in to save the day. He comes in because he's looking for Soifon. Soifon isn't here, and so he ends up taking his anger out on Omaida, and we will see how that goes. That right there is part 7. In part 8, we see what's happening between Jogrim Hasfault and Shinsui Kyotoku. Now, what happens here is that Nanao Issei creates a barrier that she calls Hakudan Kapeki. Now, this barrier essentially renders Quincy Ryatsu obsolete. They are not able to penetrate it. And Jogrim actually takes his sword out and tries to go through, and he realizes he cannot go through. This barrier is definitely fully, as far as we know, impenetrable, and it renders Quincy Ryatsu truly obsolete. Now, that would have been great to use, because one of the things we're complaining about is, yo, why aren't the Soyibers using their Shikai? I'm like, dude, you should be using not Shikai, your Kido. Like, Kido is a thing, guys. Why aren't we using it? And you know what? You guys make a very good point. They should have been using it. This is an example of how much of a positive effect Kido can have on the battle, because Nanao essentially succeeded in creating a Kido that allowed them to render Quincy Ryatsu fully and completely obsolete. What's the problem here? The problem is she did not perfect it to the point that she was able to teach it to other people. So essentially, she's the only one who can use it, which is cool. So Jogrim is like, all right, well, I wanted to fight. I can't fight. Well, I'm just going to go, which is exactly what he does. And it's like, well, I would have loved to fight, but you weren't good enough to teach this technique to other people, which essentially just makes it null and void. We don't care. And he just walks out. Moving on to part 9. Part 9 is when Soifon returns. Now, BG9, he goes after Omaida and he stabs Omaida, like I think right in his arm. He stabs Omaida and he asks Omaida for the 3rd time, where is Soifon? Now, in this case, not only does he not want to tell BG9 where Soifon is, he also legitimately doesn't know because Soifon did not tell him. So BG9 gives him one more chance and he directs his claws at Omaida's sister and tries to stab her, but he stands in the way to protect his little sister, which is very different from the manga, where in the manga she actually got hit pretty bad. But at that moment, he takes out his Gatling gun, tries to shoot Omaida at point blank range when Soifon comes in for the save. She takes off a chunk of his sword itself and caught all the bullets that he fired, catches them all, and she's developed a new technique called Eternal Shunko, or Mukyu Shunko, I think is what they called it, and she's able to really deliver a very devastating blow to BG9, and sort of you can see how the tide of the battle seems to be turning in the Shinigami's favor, where you have Toshiro Hitsugaya, who's used Vacuum Ice to take down Baz B, seemingly. You've got Soifon using the Eternal Shunko to push down BG9, and you have Nanao Issei and Shinsui Kyoto succeed in making a barrier that renders Jogrim's Quincy Ryatsu obsolete. The Soul Reapers are putting up a fight. They're trying to fight. Not to mention, Mayuya Kurotsuchi succeeded in creating a space where no shadows can exist. So the Shinigami, they're trying to put up a fight. They're really trying their best. But as we saw in part 10 of the episode, Askin, he's literally measuring Mayuri Kurotsuchi to see if it's worth fighting. He ends up wanting to leave. Now, he was expecting Mayuri to try to stop him from walking away, but Mayuri says, hey man, I need more time to analyze your abilities, so hey, if you want to go, be my guest, you can go right ahead. I could use the time to work anyway. Now, during that time, they kind of feel the tremors from Soifon's attack and Toshiro's attack and whatnot, and that's when Askin lets Mayuri know that, you know what? You guys are good, because His Majesty expected you guys to figure out a way to fight us without using your Bankai. And the fact that we knew that coming in here is very, very bad for you guys. In part 11, Bazby shows his true power called Burner Finger. Burner Finger, look, I'll be real with you. Burner Finger is like Spirit Gun if, whoa. I don't want to disrespect the GOAT. I don't want to disrespect Yu Hawkshire, my boy Yusuke. All right, I'm not trying to disrespect the Spirit Gun. I'm not trying to. I think Burner Finger is a really, really cool version of the Spirit Gun. I think it is, especially because it incorporates, it's not just a gun. Okay, you know, let me stop. I don't want to draw that comparison. I respect Yu Hawkshire too much to try to do that. I really like Burner Finger. I like the technique. I like the system with Burner Finger 1, Burner Finger 2, Burner Finger 3, Burner Finger 4, full burning fingers, all that cool stuff. It's a really cool technique, and Bazz-B ends up using Burner Finger against Toshiro Hitagaya. Now, I don't know if this is a thing that was in the manga. I'd have to check. But they show a close-up of Bazz-B's finger and his gloves, and they have this like sort of accelerator insignia on his fingers. I thought that was really, really cool. I really like that. He ends up firing at Toshiro through his ice and penetrates him, and Toshiro ends up, well, he's injured for the moment. But this entire, like I said, this entire sequence between Toshiro and Bazz-B is, the effects are great. Like the flame and the fire and the ice effects are stunning, and the art direction is amazing. The animation is fine, but to me, I'm like, clearly they're just going for one thing or the other, and I understand what they're trying to do, and I'm like, I feel you guys, I feel you, and I like it. Keep going. In part 12, BG9 is seemingly put down because he got hit with a point blank Mukyu Shunko from Soifon. He ends up getting up and he attacks Soifon, who actually dodges, grabs him, and tosses him into it. He takes off his cloak to reveal that he's not been breathing all along. He's a cyborg, or he's a full machine. He ends up launching missiles at Soifon, who actually dodges it, but while she's in midair, he intercepts her and stabs one of his lancers into her arm, grabs onto her, and detonates a bomb at close range, which causes a huge explosion in the sky. So, hey, the fights are going really, really hard right now. The Shinigami are in a battle for their lives and things, and the stakes have never been higher. In part 13 of this episode, we find that Toshiro is running away from Bazz-B. He elects like a wall of ice, but Bazz-B just like cuts right through it, and he ends up retreating. Rangiku sort of casts this weird fog in the area, but Bazz-B uses his attack called Burning Stomp to clear the area. Toshiro tries to use one of the traps he set up, which, quite frankly, if you look at the detail of Toshiro's trap card, which he activated, and you look at the ice effects of each individual insignia, this is some of the most detailed stuff you will see in anime. Like, the people working on Bleach, they care. You don't go this far to focus on these details if you don't care about the product. They're so good at what they do. They really, really are. But I digress. Bazz-B ends up using two fingers and fires right at Toshiro. Toshiro is literally unable to defend himself, and he gets cut down, falls face down on the floor, like splat, bam. Toshiro is down for the count. And as Bazz-B is about to finish him off, Changdu, Kangdu, Sang-Su, I don't know how to say it because it's Chinese, but Shangdu, let me say that, Shangdu comes in because apparently the Sternerders agreed that whoever is the one who had stolen the Bankai of the Shinigami is the one who has to fight him. And so even though Bazz-B has been fighting Toshiro, Shangdu is the one who is meant to actually do so. So he comes in and he tags out. He is going to finish off Toshiro Hitagaya, who is unable to move, and he's just down right now. Now, so Bazz-B's like, all right, cool, whatever. He just leaves. And then we get the final, part 14, which is Kisuke. Kisuke Urahara calls Mayu Kurotsuchi to tell him that he has found a way to regain the Soul Reaper's Bankai, and that is where we leave off to go into the end credit scene. Now, so we get into the credits at the end, and there was a post-credit scene. This post-credit scene is probably my favorite of the entire episode, and I will tell you why. I'm going to read the poem that Ichigo speaks as Ichigo is conducting his training. It begins but does not end. Names wither in the silence. In an abyss of rolling clouds, raindrops fill an empty vessel. Those who are unworthy to be a vessel succumb to its weight as it turns to stone. It breaks apart and turns to gravel. Pounding rain reduces it to dust. For such a vessel, there is no way out. But if one does not enter, there is no path. Those who are about to perish call it Irazusando. Bro, Kubo. Bleach lore, let him cook. Let him cook. In what is my favorite sequence of the entire episode, we return to the Soul King's palace, laying our eyes on Ichigo Kurosaki walking down the stone path, headed for a shrine at the end of the path with what looks like a scroll hanging from it. As he walks, Ichigo reads from a scroll as a sense of danger bellows through the entire scene. Even though the path may seem short, there's some kind of space manipulation going on that makes it appear like it never ends. And in what is meant to be a test to confirm if Ichigo can become a Soul King's vessel, the poem being spoken lets us know that the empty vessel must walk down the path and be filled by the raindrops. While Ichigo does not talk about what happens to those who are worthy, he speaks about the fate of those who are not. Those who are unfit to be a vessel succumb to the weight of this world and turn to stone. And as Ichigo walks down the path, you can see him laboring, taking heavy steps as though there is a huge weight on his shoulders. As he's walking, he's tired. And I believe the part of the poem that says, "It begins but does not end," is referencing the fact that the path that Ichigo is on may seem short, but as he walks, it continues to increase. So it seems like it's there, but it's continuing on and on and on, like it never ends. Those who are unfit to be a vessel succumb to the weight of this world and turn to stone. As the stones break apart and turn to gravel, the rain pounds it into dust, and they are unable to complete the test. For one who is deemed unworthy, there is no path out. But if one does not enter, there is no path to begin with. The ones who fail, those who are unable to show themselves worthy, those who are about to perish, they call this road Irazu Sando. Now, Irazu means no entry, and Sando means a road approaching a shrine. And so Irazu Sando speaks to the literal path being walked, no entry to the road of the shrine. But this is a statement only deemed for those who are unworthy. I imagine that those who are found worthy will call it something else, and that something else is what will be revealed once Ichigo does succeed. I think that this is a process that will accomplish two major things. Number one is that Ichigo is testing to see if Ichigo can truly be a Soul King's vessel. And number two is that the byproduct of completing this training will ensure that Ichigo's power is refined into one truly worthy of being the linchpin of the entire world of Bleach, a being of supreme, transcendent power. And this scene as a whole, this entire sequence as a whole, is just Kubo doing what he does best. It's just Kubo opening up the lore of Bleach and expanding on things that we never thought we would get the opportunity to. We are so close to understanding more about the Soul King than we ever have. And if at the end of it all, Ichigo then sees the original sin and we get the name of the Soul King, it does wonders for the entire story of Bleach. And for one, I can't wait for what Kubo is doing here. He's doing phenomenal work in terms of expanding the lore around Bleach as a story in of itself. Good job, Kubo, and good job, Taguchi. So, overall, this episode, I thought it was great. I thought this episode was great. It may not be the animation episode of the week, and it doesn't have to be. By every other metric, this episode was outstanding. Utterly outstanding by every other metric other than animation. And that's not to say the animation was bad. It just wasn't great. But they were cooking. Effect, cooking. Art, cooking. Backgrounds, cooking. Compositing, cooking. Story, cooking. Everything else was great. The only thing that wasn't literally great was the animation, which was good. And for me, that's a damn good episode. So I'm going to leave you guys there with that. I think this episode, honestly, I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I will now switch into rant mode because I got something to say. Now, let me begin all of this by just simply saying we need to allow people to have different opinions. Not everyone is going to enjoy Bleach. Not everyone should. All right. Now, I'm going to say certain things that might annoy you. It may even offend you. I don't know. But I'm definitely going to speak my mind because that's what we do here. I got to let you know. Kabology, this is what we do. All right. I'm going to let you guys know. This is the truth. This is my truth. I get 2 points to make. This first point is not a moral point. It's not me trying to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just describing what is. I think that I personally, as a member of the Bleach fandom, find it very, very troubling, and it sort of bothers me that we don't have the same level of support that people in other fandoms do. Now, what do I mean by this? And again, I'm prefacing this by saying I'm not making a moral argument. I'm not telling you that this is right. I'm just describing what is. Think about what happens when you criticize Chainsaw Man. Think about what happens when you criticize Boruto. Think about what happens when you criticize One Piece. Think about what happens when you criticize Jujutsu Kaisen. Think about what happens when you criticize Demon Slayer. Typically, what happens when somebody talks trash about one of these series I've named and a few more, they are met with a fierce downpour of, we are going to make it so that you regret talking bad about our fandom and you will not want to do it again. And if you do, you are going to dread the level of, I don't want to say hatred, the level of backlash that you're about to get. And even though I sort of have issues with some of these fandoms or whatever, I respect it. And do you know why I respect it? I respect it because they are here to defend their show. They are here to defend their series. They are here to defend what it is that they love so much. You will not find, like, Boruto is one of the most embarrassing adaptations out there, but you will find people who will fight and they will stand. They will not stand for disrespect to their show. And you know what? Even though they're objectively wrong, I respect it. I do. I respect that because it's worthy of respect. I do, even though it's not morally right. I can't help but look at them and be like, you know what? I feel you. You're standing by your show, thick and thin, better or worse, whatever. Even to the point of delusion. At the very least, I can respect that level of focus and that level of dedication. What happens on the flip side of this, as far as Bleach fans are concerned, is that when it's time to criticize a show like Boruto, when it's time to criticize a show like One Piece fans will stand up against the criticism being thrown by other people. But when it's time to criticize Bleach, a segment of Bleach fans will step out of it and then they will join the other people who are attacking in the spirit of being objective and being open-minded. And again, I'm reminding you guys, I'm not making a moral argument. I'm not saying that it's wrong and I'm not saying that it's right. I understand what being objective means. Being objective means that when you give us an episode like episode 3 of Thousand Year Blood War Core 1 that is bad, it is bad and we say so. I'm not saying that it's wrong for you to be objective. I'm just describing this thing that I envy about other fan bases, because if other fan bases got episode 3, they would not stand for people criticizing it. Or rather, let me rephrase that. It's not that they wouldn't stand for it. They wouldn't join them in bashing it. Like, all things considered, the one thing you don't do is join other, quote, haters in hating your show. You know, that's the one thing you won't do. You won't find them doing it. They will say a lot, but they will not join other people bashing their show. If they're gonna bash it among themselves, they would do it among themselves, but they will not leave their camp, go to the other camp, and attack their own show. It just doesn't happen. And as a fan who's just observing all of this, I can't lie. I kind of envy that, because Bleach fans are so objective and I want to say intelligent, to the point that we're so in tune with what's good and what's bad that we end up adding to the numbers of people who are hating the show, even though you would hope that they would stand with the show to mitigate the effects, but they just leave and they go and join the other people and they just bash the show. I'm like, wait, what? You're supposed to be a Bleach fan. I get objectivity, but you gotta help us push back a little bit. But anyway, like I said, this first point, I'm not making a moral argument. I'm just describing something that I envy about the other shows, which I wish Bleach fans had a little bit of. But what I do think, and this would be a moral argument that I'm about to make here, this one I have a problem with. And whether you guys think it's a moral argument or not, no, here I have an actual bone to pick. People, in case you didn't know, Bleach fans apparently, and I kid you not, it's not other fans who are complaining about this episode. It's Bleach fans who are complaining about this episode. Bleach fans complaining about this episode, not just to anyone. They did it so bad that the Bleach staff members, some of the Bleach staff members saw the vitriol that they were spewing. And they have to come out and be like, stop asking me about the animation quality. It is not my job. I'm not in charge. And it's very frustrating when you see, and again, it's not like Chainsaw Man fans were the ones saying you suck. I mean, not that the Bleach fans were saying it either, but I'm saying it's not like Chainsaw Man fans or Jujutsu Kaisen fans or Naruto or Boruto or whoever went to the Bleach animators to bother them. Bleach fans went to the Bleach animators to bother them, and I'm like, why are we doing that? What are you doing? Of all the people who need to be helping this animation crew and not hampering them, of all the people, why is it the Bleach fans who are shooting themselves in the foot like this? It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. It's only in this entire discourse about Noriko Abe's Bleach and Tomohisa Taguchi's Bleach. It's cool when it's for banter. Some people are really, really serious about this, almost to a fault. It's like, oh my goodness, can you step out of your weird bubble and understand the different era that we're in? Like, I understand that you enjoy the nostalgia or whatever of the original anime, or maybe you're like me and you really, really enjoy Tomohisa Taguchi's work. There are some things that are absolutes. The old Bleach anime is not as good as you remember. And there are things that it did that were a direct contradiction to what Kubo wanted to do. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. It has made irreparable damage to the Bleach community. The only reason why Ichirukis exist in the world of Bleach right now is not because of the manga, and it's not because of Thousand Year Blood War. It's because of the original Bleach anime and what they did. That is a fact, not fiction, not fabricated, fact. There are things it did that were bad, just like there are things that Thousand Year Blood War did that were bad. It's fine, it is what it is, but this sense of this weird obsession, almost to the point of bothering for, like, Takashi Hashimoto, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, like, he's one of our animation directors. I'm not trying to push bro off of Twitter. I like the fact that he's so transparent. I like the fact that he has pictures of his weird chicken every day, or his whatever, like his chick, the yellow thing. Right? It's always up there. I like that. I don't want to lose him. I don't want Satoshi Sakai to feel like Bleach fans are being obnoxious. And more importantly, the discussions that are happening between people in the West and people in Japan, it's like, you got to understand the different cultures that exist here. They are not used to the type of talk that we do here. Like, over here, a dude will look you in the face and call you a stupid idiot, and you just like, haha, you're a stupid idiot too, and walk away. You can't do that. You can't do that. For you to not understand that there is a culture gap and there is a language barrier, for you to not try to recognize that things that you say, or who was it? Was it Yamada, the author of Villain Saga, who heard people call him the GOAT, which for us means greatest of all time, but he thought they were literally calling him a GOAT and he didn't like it. Like, understand, we're coming from different worlds. The cultures, the perspectives, and their ideas of communication, it's very different. You find Japanese audiences, they go to see the screenings for Bleach episode 1 and 2, and they end up enjoying themselves. They come out and talk about their experience. Oh wow, it was so great, it was so cinematic, whatever. Bleach fans see that, and then it's like, your definitions of movies or movie level or movie quality is so skewed, you can't understand that they, who they are, have a different metric of what is good and what is bad based on their own enjoyment. You can't seem to understand that. And then what that does is it sets a weird precedent, or it sets an expectation based on somebody else's experience. And then when it's not lived up to, you turn around and you put the blame at the feet of the people who all they did was do their job. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I see these people online, they're saying, oh my goodness, Bleach Thousand Year Blood War episode thing, 15 key animators is gonna be great. Oh, movie quality. Oh man, I can't wait for Satoshi Sakai and all these people. Oh, Yoshihiro Kano's gonna do this, Yoshihiko's gonna do that. They go out, they make the post, it spreads like a wildfire. People are like, yeah, Bleach, oh, Jujutsu Kaisen, we're gonna beat you, yada, yada, yada. All this nonsense, they create this expectation. And then when the episode comes and the episode is what it always was, which is good, they fabricated this idea of all of Toei's manpower plus all of the greatest key animators of all time of Tanaka, Nozume Abe, some of the boys in Toei, like everybody comes in to create this immense, like that's what they fabricate in their mind. And when they give you something that is good, but not the good that you wanted, you think it's bad. When they give you something good, but because it's not the good you wanted, you think it's bad. And then you go out there, you say it, they hear it, and now they feel bad about the good work that they did. You have the right to have your opinion. You have the right to spread your opinion. But that means you also have the responsibility to be careful with how and when you say it. If you have something bad to say, bro, make your own post. and post it. Do not go to a post of an animator who's talking about how much fun he had doing it and put it in his comment section. Who does that? What is wrong with you? What are you doing? Look, you got something bad to say, bro. Make a post on Twitter, make a YouTube video, scream it to the high heavens. Don't go into somebody's Twitter feed and put it there in their comment section so that they can see it. It's like, it's not about you saying it. You wanted them to know because you wanted them to feel a certain... I digress. I will end with this. I'm going to end with this. I feel like it's a lost cause for you to try and change someone, for you to try and control how someone feels or thinks about a certain subject. It's wrong. You shouldn't try to police people's thinking. You need to allow them to think however they want. And I am a firm believer of that. You need to liberate thinking so people can think freely, even if their free thinking leads them to bad places. But you need to allow them the right to think freely. So I'm going to give you the right to think freely, but I'm also going to exercise my right to not give a damn. There's a certain part of me which cares about the collective Bleach fan community experience of Thousand Year Blood War because we've waited so long, we struggled so hard to get here, and now that it's here, I look to my left and I look to my right and I'm like, who's writing these negative reviews and who's spreading all this negativity? And it's Bleach fans. Like, what? Of all, like, let the Chainsaw Man's fans do it. Let the Jujutsu Kaisen fans who were scared that Bleach is here, let them, Bleach fans are the ones who are doing it. Why? How did we get here? So you know what? I'm not saying that it's wrong for them to do so, but for my own sake and for the preservation of my own enjoyment, I think I'm just going to have to not care, not give a damn. You know what? Screw you guys. You can have your fun. You can have whatever opinions you want. I need to protect my experience. I need to protect the experience of those who are around me and those who are like-minded to me, in that we exist within a space where we can objectively analyze an episode, enjoy it for what it is, appreciate what they're doing, and still criticize it within the realms of realism and understanding, knowing the difficulty of the work that they're producing and the fact that they're still putting out great content despite all their shortcomings. I want to exist within that space, and I'm going to stay there. And for you who thinks that, you know what, at this point, you do you, I don't care anymore, do your own thing. It is one of the extreme cases of irony that Bleach, the black sheep of the big three, thought to be lost to time forever, lost in the annals of history, a forgotten titan of the anime industry as we know it, finds its way back on the backs of fans who just wouldn't stop, who were just relentless. They did not stop pushing. And it comes back in one of the greatest comebacks of the entire decade, even more. No anime has had such a turnaround. The length of the turnaround of the Bleach franchise from obscurity, from the verge of obscurity. We were done. Dead to rights. There was no coming back, and somehow, right from the edge of the grave, from the precipice of utter embarrassment, somehow we etched our way back into one-shot chapter, Bleach manga continuing, novels are doing great, anime adaptation, video games coming in, money flowing in. So the payroll is now back from the point of relevancy. We're heading back to a place where in September or August or whenever, all the big three could be airing at the same time. How did we get here? The general audience has never been more happy about Bleach. An anti-Bleach website like My Anime List. The fact that Bleach is still sitting top 5 on a website like that, who won't even post on Twitter that Bleach is that good when it was first. They won't even do it. And yet Bleach is sitting in their top 3 or whatever it is right now on a website like that. Shows you how much the general population has come to love Bleach for what it is. And yet, within the entire scope of the entire people who are consuming Bleach content, the ones who were most dissatisfied with it are the Bleach fans who wanted it all along. How ironically sad is that? So you know what? If you have an issue with Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, you know what? I don't understand, but I respect it. And I'm sad, because I wanted you to enjoy this world as well as I'm enjoying it. Because it was a world where we wouldn't have it at all. And so now that we have it, it's kind of sad that you're not enjoying it. But you know what? That's fine. But I don't care anymore. I will not care anymore. And I will not allow you to bring that negativity into my space. Not into my Discord, not into my comment section, not into my YouTube account. No, you can say it where you say it, and that is okay. But I will not have it come here. There's a difference between being negative and having constructive criticism. There's a difference, and you'll know it when you see it. But I digress. This is your boy Rebirth. I know some of the things that I have said will anger and bother a lot of you, but that's okay. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let's talk about it. See you guys next time. It's your boy, signing out. Peace.